Just wanted to ask about your thoughts heading into this Everton game on Saturday.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, they're not on a great run, but Goodison, can be a very difficult place to go. Although Spurs have a great record at Goodison in the main.
Yeah, I do remember the last game though. Do you remember the last game at Goodison's Park?
What was it? Which one?
And it was one. I think was it the one he got sent off? Was it Lucas Moura? Was that the last game?
Wait, there was one game there a few games ago
and
where
they
we had
scored,
2 men sent off.
And they scored I remember who was it? He scored a banger. Let me know in the comments. But someone scored a banger, and I was like, oh, it's all falling apart.
But we had the 6-2 there where Eriksen scored.
Yeah, we played well. We played well there.
We also had the one where Sonny got sent off for not injuring Andre Gomez, but everyone thought he'd.
Oh yeah, the leg break. Yeah.
And I feel like we maybe got 2 sent off in that game, but maybe not. But
going back to the actual game itself, we've seen how dangerous they are. Similar to Brentford, they don't like to do 5 or 10 passes like we like to have hold of possession. I think they're one of the teams that have the least amount of possession in the league.
Yes, they are. They're the third lowest.
Third lowest, right. So that what we're going to expect from them. They're going to be very direct.
Weirdly, did we do the Everton game together here? I'm not sure, but when we were playing them at home,
maybe
they actually played more football at the Spurs Stadium than I expected.
It
wasn't quite as simple as it going direct straight away. It's about getting it into good positions and then kind of
they kind of worked it where their winger that used to play for Burnley, he played under Sean Dyche. Dwight McNeil was fantastic that game.
Harrison on the other side as well.
And I felt they held onto the ball well. And then they allowed their players to kind of move up the pitch. And then that's when they did 1 or 2 passes. Yeah. And then they kind of hit the channel. And I remember there was another player, young kid. Is it James?
Yes.
James, midfielder. He's plays in that kind of 10 kind of role.
They really rate
Absolutely.
him.
I like him. Yeah. I think he's great. I saw him. I was like, that was the first time I properly looked at him.
Yeah.
Because I saw he was doing bits for Everton, but I hadn't seen him play. And I thought he's one to look out for. So yeah, McNeil, him, and Harrison, those are the 3 players.
Calvert-Lewin is back fit now, and
Calvert-Lewin's covered a little bit. He can be, but I'm not really worried about him, if that makes sense. I know in a year he can be a threat, but between Van der Ven and Romero, I think they've got more than enough to deal with that. But yeah, that game we never had our centre backs, did we?
And we didn't have Maddison.
And we didn't have Maddison either. Yeah. So and also, as I said before, Sarr will be back, and I just think Sarr just adds. What he does is, not only does he clean up, but in those tight spaces, in those tight areas, is able to see the picture a little bit quicker than other midfielders. And I think that's what helps us to progress up the pitch. And then when we're up the pitch with a numerical advantage, then we can make that killer pass a little bit easier. Yeah. And then we can make our minds up in terms of final third being more clinical, etc., etc. And I think that's what Sarr helps. I know he hasn't got a lot of goals and a lot of assists, and that's why he gets slept on a lot. But that's what we're missing. And I think that's what he's going to give us: a lot of legs, a lot of energy, endurance, fitness-wise.
I think he does
tenacity.
I think he does a lot of the stuff that goes unseen.
That's what I meant.
Do you know what I mean? And it's true. And you saying energy and legs is one of the huge things. And actually, and I agree with some of our callers who said, Skip didn't do too badly, and he was fine. He was working hard. But Sarr just seems to manage to do that job in a way where he's more visible. And he's taking other players, the ball carrying, and he's taking other players away from the game as well. For me, with it being the early Saturday game, what Spurs need to do, I think, is not allow Everton to get a foothold in the game. Don't allow the crowd to get into it. And in fact, if we could get an early goal in that game, I think the Everton fans could get on their backs a little bit. They do that. Yeah. But if we allow them to get an early goal, what with everything that's been going against Everton this season, the 10 points and being on a bit of a bad run now, I think the fact that when they came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, they were on a good run. Yeah. They'd actually won 3 or 4 on the spin, and they were really confident. And I think if we don't give them an early goal, we can play on the fact that they won't be nearly as confident, and we should be able to work in little pockets of space and make some chances. In fact, more chances than I think we made tonight.
They would have thought they were unlucky at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium not to get something from that, not to get a point. But I just think with Spurs, it shows how much character we actually do have, because we went a goal down today. Yeah. And it's not the first time that's happened. We've gone down a goal before. And we've managed...
2 down. We were poor.
Yeah, but we've managed to turn it around. We haven't kind of wet the bed. We've kind of picked ourselves up and we've got on with it. And the way we replied in the second half, I'm hoping, even if we were to concede, because we seem like, I think we're like the 3rd or 4th highest team in terms of like goals,
conceding goals.
Yeah. So, but like we said before,
we only play one defender.
Yeah, I mean exactly. I think that's the Ange way. We're going to concede a lot of big chances the way we play the high line, etc. But I just think going into that game, having so many players back again. What we spoke about earlier with Maddison not playing with regular players, having different chemistries, different patterns of play. Normally you're here, normally you're there. You know, when you're playing on the pitch, now he's getting Sarr back. That's another piece of the puzzle, which is going to help kind of marry things together and let that midfield back to where it was when we went on an undefeated streak. Now we're just missing maybe one player or two players, so Basuma and Son. But I think going forward, that's going to give the squad, the players a huge boost going into Saturday.
I want to ask one more question. In the second half today, Ange changed us to something, and obviously we needed to be a bit more on the front foot.
Yeah.
But he changed to something that a lot of fans have been theorising on whether we could do starting a game, which is playing 1-6 and then 2 more attacking 8s. So in this case, it was Højbjerg came in as the 6, and then obviously it was Maddison and Kulusevski was brought across.
That's right.
Now, we scored 3 goals in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then after that, we did give up a lot of space in central midfield.
We did.
I'm not saying against Everton, but what I'm saying is when we then get back into the home fixtures, of which we have, I think, 3 in a row against Palace, Brighton, and one other, would you, against, say, a Palace who, under Hodgson, assuming he's still there, will play a low block, would you at any point be tempted to start with more of an open midfield like that?
Brighton's the other game.
It's Brighton, Palace. So
Everton,
next,
Brighton, and Palace.
And then who's after that? I think we've got another home game after that. Anyway, let us know in the comments. But say against Palace, would you be willing to
Wolves
at home?
Wolves at home and then Chelsea away.
Okay.
So we got 4 to 3 winnable games in a row, basically. And you're asking, can we go more? I've been calling for this. I've been having massive debates in my WhatsApp groups. So people are saying it's way too expansive, way too open. But when you're playing the way Ange plays in a front-footed team, there's times when I feel like, especially in that first half, if we get that early goal, we could blow teams away, if that makes sense. And then if things aren't working out, then we go back to maybe like a double pivot where we got 2 6s. Because that's how I feel like we are at the moment. When we started a Bentancur and a Skip, they're more like, it feels like a 4-2-3-1. Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like to me. But actually, when you have the 2 midfielders trying to, because remember, they're low blocks. All they want to do is stay central. And Maddison alluded to it. He wants Spurs to play a lot more central. He doesn't really want us to play super wide. He lets the wingers play wide, but he wants, that's why you get the Udogis doing the underlapping runs, the Poros coming inside, finding those diagonal balls, etc., etc. If you've got 2 players running in late into the box, that's another person that you could hit, that you could possibly get to the byline or possibly, get a shot off, possibly find a pass. When Maddison gets on that ball, he does that through ball. If you through ball it to someone that can actually have a quality shot, left foot or right foot, then it might work. It might actually happen. So there was times I saw the ball fizz into a fullback like Udogie, and Udogie just wants it on his left foot. It's not quite falling for him. And his instinct, because he's a fullback, it's not always to shoot. He's always looking to find that pass, find someone in that 6-yard box. So for me, if you put 2 8s in there, then at least one of them's going to try and have a crack. Do you know what I mean? And you've got Sarr coming in as well. So,
I think it's a shame that during this period, Lo Celso has got injured again, because
it's such a shame. A shame.
I can totally see it. I could totally see a situation in a game like today, and it did work anyway. But where he's like, actually, I'll take Kulusevski off, or keep Kulusevski wide, bring Lo Celso on to play with Maddison.
Exactly.
And then when everything's really tight in the middle, they have the class to take those little 1-2s together. I'm not saying Kulusevski did it badly. He didn't. He did well.
No. Yeah, it's no problem with it. I just want to know, would you put Maddison on the right-hand side as the 8 and leave Lo Celso on the left as the 8, or would you put Lo Celso as the right 8 and Maddison as the left 8?
I'd see them kind of as quite fluid, so I don't really see them. What I would say is when Sarr plays, he's always kind of on the right side. But when it's Madders and players like Lo Celso or Kulusevski, I see it as slightly more fluid. But I don't know, to be honest. I mean, that's my way of saying I don't know.
No, I agree. It could be fluid. It's not like one player stays in one position. Obviously, we see Maddison a lot on the left, and I've seen Lo Celso a lot on the left. And even Kulu, because he's left-footed, sometimes he drifts off to the left, but sometimes he drifts off to the right because he has played on the right wing a lot. But I'd be interested to see like how that dynamic would work. And both of them like to get the ball from deep as well. So it's just about them knowing, and they haven't played together as well. It'd be interesting to see if Lo Celso would find Maddison further up the pitch And actually, when Maddison's higher up the pitch, he's so dangerous.
Exactly.
He's so dangerous. And that goal actually came from having a shot.
Of course.
Getting deflected. So that's what we want Maddison. We want Maddison further forward. And if we got another player that's more creative at the back, then that can happen alongside a Bentancur.
I just, you know, it's unlikely, but I just want a situation where we've got all of our players available and then you've got so many different options to change things. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching tonight's post-match review and the watch-along. Once again, come and find me in the title box at @BarnabySlater_. I have a daily podcast show, the Spurred On Podcast, which you can find there on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in the Spurred On Podcast. Daily content. Also, amazing daily content at Southview COYS, where Ashmatic and his gang of merry men are. Make sure you go and check that out.